Hurry. That looks a little better. Let me see, so make sure no logos can be seen in this motherfucker. I feel like, let me put it right here. Yeah. Hey, what's going on, everybody, man? Out here, once again, working hard. Per usual, stuck in traffic like a mug, man. But anyway, I was just wondering something, man. Like, a lot of times, like, people will give opinions, or they will expound on something when they don't necessarily have all the information. Oh yeah, we good. We Gucci. When they don't have all the information, right? And a lot of people, they'll draw conclusions, and they'll get so emotionally riled up just based on like news clippings, just based on opinions, you know, non-objective opinions, whether it's from the left or whether it's from the right. I try not to get too emotionally riled up when it comes to things of things in the media. I try not to. You know what I'm saying? I mean, nobody's perfect. We all have things that trigger us, but even if I get triggered by something, I try to, you know what I'm saying, something that happens with individuals who hold no bearing over my own personal life, and you know what I'm saying, who they can help me, you know what I'm saying, they have the financial means to help me, but they don't know me, so they have no emotional reason to help me. But I try not to get too bent out of shape over things that can't control, you know, that have no bearing on my life. All I can do is give my take. All I can do is spin it in a comedic way and use that on the stage. Comedy helps create conversations. Comedy helps people to explore things in different ways that are contrary to the status quo, or comedy from a right standpoint, but then comedy on a far left standpoint, excuse me, helps you toe the line of whatever is the popular narrative being pushed. But I say all to say this, man. I'm doing research, you know, in light of the Kanye West interview and certain things that were said concerning George Floyd's passing. I mean, we all saw what happened on television. We all saw what happened, man. Dude had a knee on his back, on his neck, near his neck, wherever you want to call it. The dude was in distress. The dude was not a threat. Cuffed behind his back. They could have like literally just left him on the ground, cuffed, without even sitting on his back. That dude wasn't going nowhere, and he passed away. Whether Derek Chauvin's intent was to kill him, I don't think he woke up one day and said, "Yo, I'm gonna kill a black person." That's just my personal belief, and some people probably call me a coon for saying that, but I do think he was responsible for taking his life. But at the same token, George Floyd has his hand. He had his hand in his life being taken as well. There's like a lot of things that could have happened or not happened during that particular day where he would still be alive here. Whether it's I don't know, him not being high, you know what I'm saying? To me that's the first thing. Like, when you get high and you get fucked up, whatever happens to you, you may not specifically deserve it, you know, if somebody takes your life or if your life is taken, but you don't help yourself by putting yourself in an altered state of consciousness. And I'm a prime example. There's been many times I got drunk and drove. And whether it's getting a DUI or making poor decisions. You know what I'm saying? Like, now, I think the time I got a DUI, I wasn't really super messed up like that. But if I wasn't drunk, I wouldn't have got the DUI. I would have just got a speeding ticket. You understand what I'm saying? So the cop could have probably showed some compassion and like, you know what, and we ain't going whatever, but that's neither here nor there. But ultimately, I'm trying to get to the bottom of which coronary report was right. There's, from what I hear, there are 3 coronary reports, right? There's a coronary report on the side of the police department. Damn, I can't even think of it. I can't even think of where he's from, man. God damn, is it Milwaukee? Damn, I can't even. You know what? Because I know Jeffrey Dahmer's from Milwaukee, and was the George Floyd situation in Milwaukee too? That's a lot of crazy coincidences. But anyway, let's just say Milwaukee Police Department. And from what I heard, this particular coroner, the police department or whatever, they're in his pocket. So of course he's going to say things that lean towards him, or that lean towards the police force, or what have you. But from what I was hearing, like his testimony was all over the place because they said, did the knee stop him from breathing? And he was like, no. But then he said he died from asphyxiation. But then he said he died from heart failure. Like, it was just a whole bunch of things back and forth, whatever. But I think the one resounding thing that the police officer did say was that if George wasn't in that situation, that heightened stress situation, because I guess he had hypertension, you know, his arteries was like 70% clogged up, like some ridiculous number, you know, something way above what a person his age shouldn't be at, you know, even though it looked like he was in great shape, but, you know, still, you could be in great shape all you want, but your plumbing and your insides could be destroyed, you know what I'm saying? Muscles don't got nothing to do with arteries. Those are two different things, man. And some people are just genetically predisposed to have a better physical, better physical conditioning, despite their poor health habits and consumption habits and drug habits. You know what I'm saying? But he was just saying, like, being in that heightened situation killed. And Derek Chauvin was that heightened situation. Now, if you want to argue, if George Floyd was doing the dope fiend dance in the store and yo, fucking just take the L and just go, just get cuffed and bounce, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know, like, a lot of black folks be like, yo, there's nothing you could do in that situation. They just gonna kill you. Well, I'm gonna tell you, like, the majority of black people that go through that shit don't get killed. That's not the case. It's just that it does happen more times than it need not happen, and it probably happens more times to black folks than it does white folks. And then on top of that, I feel like society in general is just pushing this narrative that they want blacks versus whites. So whenever it is a white person, a white officer of the law, doing what appears to be an injustice towards a black person, that's going to get highlighted because that promotes the idea of keeping us separated. As if poor white people and poor black people are two different factions and factors. When in actuality, it's this elite motherfuckers that are white, that are black, that are Asian, that are all races across the board, who and this is my own personal theory, I feel like they benefit off of us being separated, off of us warring over trivial things. You light skinned, you dark skinned, you Asian, you white, you fat, you skinny, you young, you're old. When we realize, like, for the most part, even if you make $100,000 a year and a person make $20,000 a year, $20,000 a year, to a person that's a billionaire, man, we all on the same level. Kanye said this one profound thing amongst all the trash that he said, or a lot of the trash, or what people would deem as trash that he said. He said one profound thing. He said, compared to God, we all on the same level. I don't care if you make $1 or you're a billionaire. We all ain't shit. Meaning we all have an expiration date. Meaning we all are fortunate to get 80 years. You know what I'm saying? And I parallel that to whether I make $20,000 a year or whether I make $100 grand a year. The person that's worth $1 billion, they see us all at the same level. Period. And as long as we at the bottom, because it's a pyramid. And there are more people at the bottom of the pyramid, but the people at the bottom of the pyramid support the motherfuckers at the top. But the problem is, everybody at the bottom wants to be at the top, or they feel like they deserve to be at the top. But they fighting each other, thinking, oh, if this motherfucker next to me get ahead, he gonna get on top, so I'm gonna keep him down. If this motherfucker try to get ahead on the right, you know what I'm saying? He gonna try to snake me and get on top, so I'm gonna keep him down. So we all fighting each other, keeping each other down. When ultimately, if we all banded together and realize that we're all on the same level, and realize that they all see us as the same, regardless of race, skin color, creed, sex, whatever, it's a class thing. I feel like it's a class thing more than anything. And once we realize that, it could be a true, like, even socialist society where everybody get what they deserve. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's pretty much on the same level now. But I mean, I feel like people that work harder should be rewarded more for their efforts. I believe that, but I feel like ultimately we all should have basic unalienable rights and things, because we didn't ask to be born. You understand what I'm saying? So if we didn't ask to be born, but we're still put here, there's basic things that should be afforded to every single body, like, you know, on a minimum level. And if you call that socialism or whatever, hey man, that's what you call it. But if you want to go beyond that, you know what I'm saying, like you get your basic food, your basic Medicare or whatever, blah 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 blah. But if you want to be in a mansion and live in lap of luxury beyond that base, then you got to put more work in to get beyond that. That's what I believe. But it's the powers that be that are in these lofty places and positions. They don't want to work, you know what I'm saying? Either A, they don't want to have to work hard or be amongst the regular folk, or B, you know, they put their work in and they've earned the right to have folks work for them. I don't know. Maybe it sound like I'm babbling. But at any rate, we got two factions. You got one coroner saying, the cops coroner of George Floyd, on the side of the police, who said fentanyl is the main reason why he passed away. Now, George Floyd's family, they hired a private, I think 2 different private coroners, and they both came to the same conclusion, that it was due to asphyxiation from the extended time that the knee was applied to the back of George Floyd's neck. 2 different professionals saying 2 different causes of death. Who do we believe? Because on the one hand, you can say the cops are, of course, they're going to rule in favor, or they're going to see it from the side of the police, the police force, because the police, they don't want to be known as murderers out here just killing people. So of course they're going to say, oh no, you know what I mean? Yeah, his neck was on his back. It wasn't even on his neck. I mean, his knee was in his back. It wasn't on his neck, and he passed away because, you know, he was bound to die anyway. Whether he was jogging or whatever, having sex, he was going to die. That was just his day to die. It just so happens that Derek Chauvin was on his back as he was dying. You know, because they didn't want that makes them look better. On the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, I'm sorry, on George Floyd and his family's side, of course, if they pay this coroner, they want a certain. They're not going to pay a private coroner to agree with what the police coroner said. So it's like either coroner on either side is, to me, it's not independent. Either coroner on either side, one could argue, serves the interest of whichever side hired them. So who do we believe? Why wasn't there like an independent coroner, right, with no vested interest or nothing to gain out of this situation, instead of gaining the truth? We're constantly being played from whether it's COVID, vax, unvax, black, and white. Was it murder or was it accident? What the fuck do we believe, man? Who's telling the truth? It's like we never know, man. And this is my thing. You can have your opinion about the situation, but if you don't know, if you're not a medical examiner, you know what I'm saying? If you didn't do the examination or the autopsy, like at the end of the day, like the Apollo moon landings, man. Like we don't really know. So if you don't truly know, now I'm saying, as far as we know that he died on camera, that much we do know. We know an officer was on his back for a long ass time, well after he was a threat, after being a threat. We saw that. Everybody saw that. He could have got up. He was being excessive. We all saw that. Now, whether that causes death, I mean, we got 2 different corners saying 2 different things. So we don't know. But I'm just saying, from an optical standpoint, that's what we saw. Now, the idea of we shouldn't be holding up George Floyd as a martyr, I agree with that. When you run his history and things of that nature, I agree. But before we do any of these things about George, when we watched this on camera, before we knew anything about him, He was a citizen, just like everybody else, man. And you can't, I think it is unfair to draw a conclusion of how you feel about his death subjectively after you found out about his past and and some of the things that he did and got convicted for. Because this could happen to any one of us, man. Regardless of what you're going through, regardless of what you went through. Now, if you committing a crime and then you get sentenced and justice or whatever, that's one thing. But if you're just a citizen or you did something to get past and you paid your debt to society, you know what I'm saying? Like, and if nobody, put it this way, nobody knows who you are, you have the right to be treated fairly, yo. Like, I don't like this whole, I don't like them trying to prop George Floyd as a martyr, because he's not. He was just on, he was basically Samuel L. Jackson from Jungle Fever, doing the crackhead dance before he got shot in the chest by his father. That's the same thing. Crackheads die every day. That's just what happens. You know what I'm saying? Do crackheads deserve to die? No. But if you a crackhead doing a crackhead dance or some crackhead ish, you raise the probability of your life being taken. You know? So I would not prop him up as a martyr, but at the same time, I'm not going to say that his death was justified in that situation. Like Minister Japp said, there's a lot of people that are happy and relieved that he passed away from some of the things that he did, you know, in his past. I'm not here to drag George Floyd. You can look that up if you want to. That's on you. But none of us knew that. None of us. If you watch that video in the vacuum, objectively, nobody knew anything prior to that. No, even Derek Chauvin didn't even know that. No, none of them knew. They just knew he was on some crackhead-ish, trying to pass off a fake 20. Whether he knew it was fake or not, I don't know. It was definitely, I think the whole situation was exaggerated for just $20 though. For real, for real. You know, it wasn't that serious. It should have never escalated to that level, but, you know, some people theorized that they wanted this to happen. Some people theorized that they you know, crazy situations like this is what fuels the quote-unquote race wars or what have you. You know what I'm saying? But who's telling the truth? Which coroner is right? You know. Now you got the family. They want to sue. They want to sue Kanye West for $250 million because, you know, Kanye was quoting something that he saw on Candace Owens' latest documentary where she exposes all the hypocrisies and all the dark side of Black Lives Matter and like where monies and funds and things of that nature went to. I haven't watched it. I just saw like I saw like the trailer here and there. The shit was pretty. Oh, it's pretty crazy looking. I'm not a supporter of Candace Owens at all. Logically, a lot of the things that she says make sense, but it's about the presentation and it is about the intent. And I'll just say it like this, you know, I'm not going to go in on her in this video. I'm not going to go in on her in general. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like it's an analogy that was in the Cosby Show when I think Vanessa was she was dating like an older guy, like a 40-year-old medical doctor or some shit like that, a 40-year-old grad student or something, and she was about ready to get married. She was only 18. And the dad, Bill Cosby, like, listen, and we're not trying to let's not bash Bill Cosby. Like, we're watching this from the perspective that we saw this 30 years ago, and we saw Bill Cosby not then. We're not talking about now. We're just talking about the example. And Bill Cosby was like, this is a good thing and everything that you want to marry my daughter, you know. But I'll give you an example like this, you know. You're preparing this meal, you got the fixings, you got the chicken, you got the collard greens and the cabbage, and you got the beans and everything, and it's the cornbread, and it's with the honey, and it's wonderful and delicious. But then when you present the food to me, you put it on top of a garbage can. Yeah, the information that Candace Owens is putting out, I think a lot of it is good information. A lot of it, you know, as far as black people holding themselves accountable for how they conduct themselves in society, I agree with that. But look who's presenting it, though. It has to come from a place of love, and I think a lot of stuff that she puts out comes from a place of anger and hatred and vitriol towards her own. And when does she ever have these campaigns towards a lot of the race soldiers that she's campaigning for or aligning herself with? Or even not the ones that she aligns herself with, but when does she ever have the video where she's like attacking a white person who is blatantly trying to disenfranchise black people? I mainly see it, and maybe, hey, if Black Lives Matter is ran by a lot of white folks, maybe when a documentary comes out, I could be wrong. Maybe she goes at a lot of white folks that helped start up Black Lives Matter. I don't know. But anyway, how did I get on Candace Owens, man? How did I get on that? Because I kind of went on a tangent. But yeah, I say all that to say, like, it's just hard to, like, who do we trust? Who do we believe? You got two different corners saying two different things. It's just like with the whole COVID situation. You got certain doctors on the left that say we need to be vaccinated 2, 3, 4, 5, 17 times and keep getting booster shots for the rest of our lives. And then you got people on the right, the far right, that say all we need is natural immunity, and eventually group immunity will happen, and the strong people will survive, and the people who are meant to go are going to go. You got things on both sides. You know what I'm saying? What do you believe, man? I don't know. I just don't. Like I said, I don't get too invested in it. I do think, and I think Minister Japp brought this out, and a couple of other more right-leaning YouTubers brought out, is that to make statues out of George Floyd, you know, now that we know what he was going through, it wasn't like he died. It wasn't like when he was killed, rather, that he was trying to do some type of political movement, or he was trying to, like, fight for black people. The dude was just high trying to buy some shit, yo. You know what I'm saying? So to me, it's almost like the powers that be are just making a mockery of all of our leaders that actually died for noble causes. Like, what noble, worthy cause did George Floyd die for, yo? What noble, worthy cause did he die for? I don't believe he deserved to die. No, not in that situation. But like I said, if you're driving drunk, you're doing certain things that raises the probability of you passing away. But even in all that, you still do not deserve death. But to prop him up like he's like Medgar Evers or Malcolm X or Huey P. Newton or Marcus Garvey or Khalid Muhammad, you know what I'm saying? Muhammad Ali, you know what I'm saying? Any Muhammad that was down with black folks. That just makes a mockery of us, man. You know what I mean? Like Chris Rock had a joke. He said, what did he say? Malcolm, you know, what did he say? People talking about Tupac was assassinated. Biggie Smalls was assassinated. Man, he said, man, I'm tired of this bullshit. He said, Malcolm X was assassinated. Martin Luther King was assassinated. John F. Kennedy was assassinated. Them niggas just got shot. I don't want to be 100 years from now in the history books. He said, these are all our black historical, I'm butchering the joke. These are all our black historical freedom fighters that passed away. What did he say? What did he say? He said, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Pac. Like, nah, man. Now it's gonna be like Malcolm X, Pac, George Floyd. Like, nah, man. Because when you look at freedom fighters, like, you can, or just some of our martyrs and our heroes, you can look up their history. You can see the things that they went through. You can see the people that they helped out throughout history. You can see that they were killed and their lives were taken because they were trying to do something positive to strengthen their people, enlighten their people, make their people rise up and bring unity between human beings. And George Floyd wasn't doing none of that. You know what I'm saying? He was just a citizen. Some say he was trying to clean up his life or whatever, but you know what I mean? When you look at it, man, that wasn't the way. That's not the individual that a statue should be held up and erected to. I don't agree with that. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. And those two things can exist in the same space. You know? You can agree, you cannot agree that a statue should be put up for him, and also you can not agree that that his death was warranted. You can agree that he didn't deserve to die, and you can agree that a statue should have been put up for him. Those two things can exist, yo. You know? Well, back to what I was just saying, like, which report which do you believe, man? I think the thing is, because we don't really want, like I said, we saw what we saw on camera, and I would just say that Derek Chauvin putting his knee on his back certainly didn't help George Floyd live. But just like George Floyd using all the drugs and, you know what I'm saying, doing the shady stuff he did, didn't help himself live either. But I'm willing to believe if there's no neck on his back for 8 minutes, whether he died from fentanyl, whatever is, you know what I'm saying, whether he died from like having too much fentanyl in his body, his heart wouldn't have been racing as fast if he wasn't going through that traumatic, stressed, heightened situation. Was it self-induced? Was Derek Chauvin over-exaggerating? It looked like that to me. But yeah, we just get too emotionally caught up in these things. I really believe a lot of these stories, a lot of this agenda wouldn't be pushed as much as far as the powers that be keeping us at odds with each other with conflicting information and conflicting proof and conflicting stories surrounding certain crazy political things that happen. If we just stop paying attention, if we just stop giving it credence, man, if we as much as we can just try to ignore it more, man. But the more we keep getting emotionally caught up in it, the more we keep talking about it, the more we keep expounding on it, hey man, it's always gonna be an issue, man. But I said what I had to say, you know what I'm saying? Like, whoever watches this, keep it tight, keep it cool. You know what I mean? George Floyd definitely didn't deserve to die, but he didn't deserve a statue either. I don't think Derek Chauvin's intent was to murder him, but I don't think he helped him live, if that makes sense. I think the sentence he got was just, as far as them suing Kanye West, from what I heard, Kanye West gave the family he gave George Floyd's daughter $2 million for college. And he just says, I don't think that the knee was the cause of his death. That's just his opinion, you know. So to sue for $250 million after you already got a deuce, hey, people gonna do what they do. I don't know. Like folks were saying, in the light of Alex Jones getting like $1 billion judgment against him from the families of Sandy Hook, it kind of created this precedent, which basically puts the concept of free speech in danger. Not that they're trying to make it illegal, but they're trying to make it to the point where if what you're saying doesn't align with what I believe, or if I'm offended by what you're saying, I could sue you. And I'm not even saying like you passing off something that's truth. That it's just, yo, you look at the facts, or you look at the variables of a situation, and I look at the variables of a situation, and we come to different conclusions. And because my conclusion has not been deduced the way your conclusion is deduced, then I should pay you a fine. That's crazy for me. And what's going to happen with that is people are just going to be afraid to even talk about anything, man, and give their opinions on anything, because they're going to be afraid of litigation. And to me, that's like a backdoor way of taking away our free speech. So we got to be careful with that, man, bro. Who am I? I'm nobody. You know, I'm a marginally funny comic, man. Just trying to come up in the ranks. Every now and again, I have my opinion. Some things inspire me, and I give my opinion on situations. But hey, man, who knows, man? But anyway, I'll holler at y'all. # everybody need more green. Peace.